forces of one land to another, which caused crystals to start popping out of the surface. Then we get the big event where, you know, Zora Magnaros heads to the New World in order to die, but gets to the Rotten Vale and perishes. So apparently... oh, sorry, I forgot the most important thing. Before it got to the Rotten Vale, it died. And that is the body which then became the Guiding Lands. So it was headed for the New World and didn't quite get there. But that created its own whole new ecology and everything, which is nice.
It's interesting when you see just how much these corpses of Zora Magdaros can create, because like Guiding Lands is massive.
Oh yeah. Then we got, you know, like the Shajvada then, you know, following the life force, left the valley, and left the Rotten Vale. And I guess around this time, that's what established the Rotten Vale as being kind of like the dying place for a lot of the monsters.
Yeah.
And
which
basically,
which in turn created Valhazak as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so everything started there, then, you know, elder dragons would start migrating to the New World to die.
And
new
that's when we
ecologies,
started,
new research, new investigations.
That's when we started actually sending over the fleets. So the first fleet comes over following Kushala, then second fleet comes over following, was it a Teostra? I forget. I forget what the second fleet was.
Yeah, so I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here because it's like unnecessarily
Never dropping.
detailed.
It's like,
but yeah, 50 years ago. No, it's really weird. Maybe I need to replay the games as well, because I thought the Seeker, the Wyverian Hunter, I thought he was part of the first fleet, but I guess he was part of the New World, and then he joined the first fleet.
Oh,
I don't think he was, because it says here that
the Wyverian that was already in the New World.
That's what it suggests here. It says 50 years ago, it says a independent solo Wyverian hunter, you know, heard the word about, I don't know the English, what did they call, there's some keyword for
Sapphire Star?
Ishvalda. No, for Ishvalda, like the
Everworm.
The large presence.
The Everworm,
Yeah,
that's
maybe
what they call it.
Everworm. Yeah, so apparently he heard that word and it's like, okay, I gotta go out to investigate this stuff. So as a single adventurer, he went out to figure it out. It says that he discovered the Hoarfrost Reach. I guess he probably had to evelate there because the conditions were rough. And that's where he discovered the crystal or mineral from Velkana, and also left a note. I guess he's the one that wrote that note about like the song and all that kind of weird poetic stuff that the handler and the older lady went crazy for it. But then it says that around that time they were able to determine that the Elder Crossing, which was probably something that happened not so regularly, had started becoming like a
regular
every 10-year event. Yeah.
So basically,
and that's when they decided, okay, we need to make and said, okay, we need to make an investigation to investigate the New World. So then it says 40 years ago, the first fleet was formed. The whole point of that one, it started with a Kushala Daoda. Yeah, that's where it's weird. It says 40 years ago, so I think they're talking about... I think they're considering the fifth fleet, because the fifth fleet is now, right? Yes. There's 40 years of history, not 50 years. It's one of those math things that's easy to accidentally think about that way. But 40 years ago, a big Kushala Daoda was heading towards the New World. That's what started the investigation. They say that a single ship of 80 people, roughly, were following the Kushala. But apparently got in a fight with the water elder dragon. Yeah. They talk about having encountered an Elder Dragon and how the first fleet also then encountered Kul'Tara, which is why when you meet Kul'Tara for the first time, the commander and the admiral are going like, it's her, she's back, or something like that. Yeah, so apparently
I'm assuming the water dragon would have probably been Namiel.
Probably, I would imagine, but they said apparently the clash between the Elder youngins obviously caused them to crash and wash ashore, so they didn't exactly arrive in great shape.
And what now became the Gathering.
Yeah, so after was then formed from where they crashed up. That's when you said, like you were saying, the commander or whoever figured out the scout flies and how to use them.
But if the first fleet only constituted of one ship, that means...
I don't know if it's a ship, it's in one fleet.
Yeah, well, no, one fleet is multiple ships. It's multiple ships.
Okay, then it's multiple ships, so I don't know the naval.
The naval terminology. It's a
Yeah.
ships. Simple.
Especially if we're calling them the first fleet. It's like,
The first fleet, because it makes sense. It's a fleet of ships. It was the first fleet they sent over. This makes perfect
yeah, but then you get into problems where I'm about to get into, which is the second fleet is a group of 3 fleets. You see what I mean? Like,
okay, so the kanji fleet and ships, that can be weird. Unless it's actually 3 fleets of ships, and that would make the second fleet like the biggest fleet of all. It's an armada at that point.
yeah, so they say, so around that point, the first fleet said, okay, you know what, we need to get a second fleet created. So they put out a call to assemble members and get a second fleet formed to come to the New World. That's around the point that they found the call to Roth, but they just didn't have enough people. They couldn't research it.
Yeah. And then the second fleet came over and they started...
Yeah, and then the second fleet 30 years ago, so the second fleet came over because of Teostra, it says.
Yeah, that's right.
Was coming over. So it says that the fleet consisted of, it says 3 fleets. I think this means boats. 3 ships, but maybe.
It could either be 3 ships or 3 groups of ships. I don't know.
Yeah, either way, it's like 3 times the size of the first fleet. And this is where they were mostly engineers and stuff like that, so the second fleet leader is the one who figured out, hey, let's put aside the blade master and the gunner designs and let's just integrate them into a single set. He's also the one who started development of the cylinder.
Yeah.
So they started with Teostra. This is where the Admiral, I believe, I don't know the English Japanese word called the Admiral.
Admiral is top guy.
Palico is the chef, right?
Yes, he broke his weapon and became a chef.
Yeah, this is where it happened. Because they ran into the Teostra, his Palico lost his weapon and became a chef. This is where they first encountered the No Gigante, and the Admiral decides that he's going to do a solo exploration mission to No Gigante and try to figure things out. So then 20 years ago, the third fleet. So this started with, yes, I know, it started with yet another Kushala. Like, come on, man, like some variation.
Yeah, there was another Kushala.
Kushala. And they make the point here to talk about, and this is going to tie into our Wilds discussion, so I hope this isn't boring anybody. I certainly like this type of talk. So it goes into a lot about the Ace Hunter and Item and the events that brought him to the New World. Because obviously he played a big role in the showdown with the Palace and all that kind of stuff. So they mention a bunch of stuff in here which is interesting. So they say that around the time, 20 years ago, he would have been 7 or so at this time, I think. His village was destroyed by an elder dragon. And then apparently, and I did not know this, 20 years ago, the third fleet formed and departed from Tanzia port.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was so. I thought that was interesting.
But it is interesting, like you said, according to the map you showed me, they basically went all the way around the continent rather than like a line guard. Yeah. So, but I was thinking if maybe that's because Tanzia is where they have the biggest amount of technicians, because that is supposedly what the third fleet is comprised of. It is hunters and technicians. But the hunters went back. So they went to the New World and then they went...
I don't think it's technicians, I think it's researchers. Technicians and the more technical people were the second fleet. The third fleet were more researchers and scientists. I know a lot of people who got high off stuff.
I read that it was technicians, but I might have gotten that wrong.
It's probably a mix, but yeah. So they consisted of 3 ships, 3 fleets as well.
It's probably big fleets, because again, if the first fleet was a whole fleet of ships, it just makes sense that the other ones were way, way more, because I think at this point there's over 300 people in the world or something like that.
Yeah, okay, so they depart, and they're chasing after the Kushala to observe it and learn from it. They couldn't get over the large valley, so the third fleet, in all their awesomeness, modifies their ship to become an airship, the very first one.
Yeah.
So they depart and they hit...
Wait, how is that the first one?
Huh?
Does it say there that that's the very first ship that they converted? Because again...
No, sorry, okay. I inferred that.
Okay, no, it's not
the first mention of that. They say that they are, in order to get over the large valley, they had to modify their ship into an airship, which allowed them to enter uncharted territory.
Yeah, because
which means that they'd never been able to get there before.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like I said, in that cutscene where we go to fight off Shvalda, the commander specifically says, this was the first ship, we made it when we got here. This is the first prototype airship, we made it when we got here, and they did more, because they decommissioned the other ones. Who's taking credit?
The third place that did all the work. He's just saying the collective we did it. What up, chum? Well, yeah, it says that obviously their floating ship, their airship got attacked by Legiana, and then they got down. Legiana,
yeah. Legiana of all things broke their ship.
Right, probably like it was a fleet of Legiana. Right?
And it's funny. It's funny because when you get the research base flying again, which the research base is the third fleet ship that they took over there, when you get it flying again, it's once again Legiana that stops us from moving forward. That's why the third fleet master, she's just going like, oh man, this Legiana beat our ass before, we can't mess with this.
Yeah, as an actual first leader, I can Legiana's an annoying ass monster.
No, that shit.
I would rather chill in the Coral Highlands and smoking the fauna and chilling.
I love that big blue chicken, the way that it makes chicken sounds and gets blown up to smithereens with a full burst. Fantastic, love it. Highly recommend.
Yeah. So it says they get dropped obviously on the highland parts of the Coral Highlands. They decide, screw it, we're not going home, but we can't go home, and they decide to make that a research base, and they decide to investigate the other dragon that lives in the Coral Highlands, which of course is Balmazak. 10 years ago, from the position of Masamu's world, of course, they were going after, not know this, they were going after a Kirin.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine just a small little stupid horse and there's a whole fleet of ships following it?
Kirin looks back and is like, what's wrong with these people? Leave me alone.
It's like
why
Forrest Gump, right? Like, he's running and everyone's behind us.
This is like that joke, is like, why did the chicken cross the road? Or why did the Kirin made the elder crossing? And Kirin's like, what do you think? Look at all these people, they won't leave me alone. Kirin just wants to be alone. And there's like a fleet of ships following.
Around this time, 10 years ago, Aiden would have been 17. It says that Aiden runs into Julius, the Ascenter, and decides to join him. They assemble 5 fleets of 270 total members in the fourth fleet. That's a huge ass fleet. To go save a damn Kirin and find out what's going on.
That's the proof right there. You're not putting 200 and something people in those tiny ass wooden ships. It's not happening. Yeah. It's not happening. So yeah,
and I guess this is when the grandson joined as well, because I think he was going to take over for his old man.
Oh, he came in on the fourth fleet?
I think. I don't want to quote this one. I have to look into it a little bit better. then it says, yeah, so around this time that the fourth fleet was heading off and doing all of that, that's when the Ace Hunters solved the mystery of the Girl Magala, the Shigaru Magala, and then the guild decided, instead of him being a rookie, they finally would recognize the rookie as an Ace Hunter. So he decided at that point, he actually got chosen and enlisted to join the fifth fleet. At this point, they were coming up with the fifth fleet members of who he was. He obviously being renowned for his participation. Chosen, so it makes sense that every other of the Ace Hunters would probably, for whatever reason, would either opt in or opt out to join the fifth fleet. I imagine most of them decided not to, and Aiden's like, I'm going. And he makes his promise to Julius that he won't, screw things up and hurt the people he loves.
There is one thing that I'm a little bit unsure about, which is I read in the wiki that Aiden was recognized as a guild knight, and the guild knights, they're the ones who kill the poachers. That's my understanding of the guild hierarchy. So they're capable hunters, but they're also the ones where it's like, hey, somebody's poaching, time to put them down. So it's just funny. It's just funny thinking of Aiden as a cold-blooded killer. It's just murder.
Yeah, here,
like the ace cadet, always optimist is like, hey, dude, did you hunt that monster? Good job. Guess what? That was illegal. I'm gonna kill you now.
Jesus. Yeah, here, at least in the timeline, they have a whole page on him, but it just mentions that he was an ace hunter, and it's a special unit. And so he was chosen to go in the Fifth Fleet, and that's when they decided that Fifth Fleet members would work in groups of 2.
Yeah, so you have the handlers.
Yeah. And this is where the Blue Star, which I guess is the player.
Sapphire Star.
Sapphire Star, we joined the group. Yeah, and then it just goes through all the events of World and Iceborne, which I won't.
And we were the ones following the Zora Magdaros across the Elder Crossing. Yeah, it's just
so it's interesting.
It's just a little bit of backstory, you guys, for those of you that weren't aware of all of these crazy events. I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of story time with Huracan and Gaijin. It's just weird.
Yeah, I'm looking at this page on the Ace Hunter, and he just seems to have a lot of bad luck. He's had his whole life turned upside down by Elder Dragons like 2 times before he finally joins the Fifth Fleet and says, you know what? I'm motivated now. I want to help get to the bottom of this crap, because every village I visit seems to get destroyed.
And then he joins up, and what does he get for his efforts? He gets flamed up by Fatalis to save us. He is unlucky. He's me in real life. That's what he is.
Oh, yeah.
But, this is just stuff that we were talking about before the podcast, and I was like, we should just record this stuff that we're talking about, because this is actually really cool to chat involved, and some people will enjoy it as well. But we're going to be jumping into a little bit more current topics at this point. I hope you guys enjoyed story time.
Yeah, just so you know, in this one, it does not mention him being a guild knight or anything like that. There's a whole 2-page thing on him. And
interesting.
It just talks about,
because
after,
by the event,
he went from
大丈夫だ。